Over the past few decades, gaming has become the biggest entertainment industry in the world. Video games make more money than TV, music, and movies combined. And an industry that initially marketed itself almost exclusively to young males now has its hooks in every demographic. All of a sudden, you're buying your girlfriend a Switch. Your mom's winning Candy Crush tournaments. Skyrim grandma is out here grinding. So more people are gaming than ever before, and as the years go on, we see bigger and crazier feats being accomplished. Streamers doing wild shit for views and people mastering games down to the pixel. It's more than people playing Wally Bear and the No Gang in 1992 could have ever imagined. And it begs the question, are people just way better at video games now? What really sparked my idea for this video was the release of a little game called Grand Theft Auto. It was the release of a game called X-Defiant in May of 2024. X-Defiant was positioned as a direct competitor to the biggest first-person shooter on the market, Call of Duty, featuring some strikingly similar gameplay and developed by a team led by former Infinity Ward boss Mark Rubin. The X-Defiant team had been paying attention to the poor community sentiment that surrounded Call of Duty over the last decade or so. The game was essentially pitched as, sick of Call of Duty? Come get y'all juice! Now, X-Defiant had a plan. They knew they couldn't compete with the look and feel of COD. I mean, COD has the realism on its side. So they looked at every issue that the COD community had with the game and decided to tackle the biggest, baddest one. The fucking Elden Beast of Call of Duty problems. The skill-based matchmaking. If you're watching this video, you probably have at least heard of sbmm, but skill-based matchmaking is a system that closely matches players of similar skill levels up against one another. A lot of fans, including yours truly, just a little bit, have strenuously pointed out the problems with this system over the years, more specifically in its nonsensical implementation across the shooter genre. So Mark Rubin and his team said, "We'll do it live! Fuck it!" There will be no skill-based matchmaking in X-Defiant. This immediately caught the eyes of COD fans. It was essentially the tagline of the game, no SBMM. It was the biggest selling point. Finally, we have something that might truly give COD a run for its money. Finally, the gaming world will be able to see just how much of a mistake this ultra-aggressive SBMM was in the first place. And X-Defiant launched, and we played it, and it was still a little sweaty? I mean, not totally sweaty. You can most definitely have fun. It's a balanced enough experience, I guess, but wasn't I supposed to be getting like noob lobbies or something? The reality was that no skill-based matchmaking was exactly what it said it would be. It was a random assortment of players in lobbies. But that didn't equate to some 2009 Modern Warfare 2 lobby full of dipshit 13-year-olds to feed your god complex as you hunted nuke after nuke. This is 2024, baby. You're playing me now. I haven't gotten up from this desk in like a week. I can't remember the last time I showered. Back in the earlier days of online shooters, before content creators dissected and perfected every game on the market, before millennials had 20 years of experience on FPS games, before gaming was socially acceptable for really little kids at really young ages, it was a simpler time. Halo 3 and MW2 were bringing FPS multiplayer into the mainstream, and it was a relatively new part of people's favorite hobby as they transitioned away from single-player games and towards saying racist shit on Xbox Live. Not to mention that those games hooked a lot of people on gaming in the first place. It was their first real experience with video games, and they were pretty easy to drop nukes on. But that was then, and this is now. And now, those same kids you played MW2 with are fucking cracked at COD after almost 2 decades of experience. And the kid that they had with their high school sweetheart is sitting next to them, slide canceling around the corner about to double team your ass. FPS games have only gotten more and more popular over the past 20 years, with some of the original mainstays still going strong, as well as some newcomers that have exploded onto the scene since. There are more first-person shooter players than ever before, and they all play a bigger variety of shooter games than ever before, with so many titles being free to play. So while there will always be a bunch of clueless 5-year-olds and middle-aged dads that play these games, a huge portion of the audience of every game has gotten pretty skilled. Now, none of this is to say that opponents of skill-based matchmaking have been dead wrong this entire time. For anyone cooking up some RIP bozo comments,
I'm not finished.
I stand by my core argument against SBMM, that it ultimately does not allow for players to feel the same type of skill progression that was possible in older games, going from a noob to a great player. But I think the problem is that the skill level of shooter players in general has reached somewhat of a critical mass in which most lobbies have a lot of decent players. players, even if they're randomly assorted like an X-Defiant. SBMM is not implemented correctly in a lot of cases, and it's frustrating when it feels like a game is jarringly whipping you around between high and low skilled lobbies. Modern SBMM is a problem, but I don't think it fully explains the entire problem when we're talking about the overall matchmaking feel of these games. I think that this, for lack of a better word, skill issue is the reason why so many unranked playlists in all these games can still end up feeling kinda like ranked. It's the reason why you get on and it feels like most people are just as good or better than you at all times, because a lot of people are just as good or better than you. Of course, there's always been a noticeable divide between good and bad players that's existed since the onset of competitive gaming. There will always be noobs and pros and everyone in between, but I just think the skill floor for an everyday enjoyer of these games has risen dramatically. My experience with X-Defiant got me thinking about the rest of the industry, about some of the spectacular things I've seen online. Can this same line of thinking be applied to other games in other genres, where over and over we see new speedrunning records, people using controllers that aren't even controllers, this kid beat Tetris? I think we can, and I think we can say that about almost any intellectual or athletic feat that people can accomplish. We just saw a bunch of young athletes set world records in their respective sports at the Paris Olympics. New technological advancements are constantly popping up. As a species, we've learned more and more about every craft or skill that we engage with as time has gone on, from cooking to driving to writing to gaming. At-home gaming used to be more of a niche thing. Now it's the most profitable form of entertainment in human history. And with gaming as socially acceptable as it is now, it's no wonder that there's a ton of skilled gamers out there. And considering the fact that the internet has made it easier than ever to cheat in school and young adults can't find a job because you need 5 years of experience for an entry-level position, we all have plenty of time on our hands too. Trying to accurately analyze whether or not the general population is more skilled at gaming is a tough task though. We'd also have to consider how much easier it is to be good at a game these days in the information age, with the internet at our fingertips. Every solution to every problem has been mapped out by some random Reddit comment. So are gamers actually more skilled nowadays, or are they just better at following directions? But at the same time, studios like FromSoft continue to make their games even harder with every iteration to keep up with the increasing skill level of their players. So what's the deal here? I don't know if we'll ever be able to say definitively. 80s Contra Chad versus Sekiro obsessed Souls Bro will be a battle that rages for a millennia. But here's what we know. We know more people are playing, finishing, and fully completing difficult single-player games than ever before. We know that the lobbies in our favorite shooters generally feel a lot sweatier than they did 15 years ago. And we know that when SBMM is relaxed or straight up removed like an X-Defiant, it doesn't necessarily result in the same general gameplay feel that we experienced 15 years ago. The problems created by modern matchmaking are very real, and something has changed for the worse in FPS games. The monetization is ruining everything. People are hacking and cheating because their parents never told them they loved them. You can't experiment and turn your brain off as much anymore. But maybe it's time that we finally put this SBMM discussion to bed. Because while it is annoying to have to spam the same meta-level top-tier guns every game, turning it off isn't gonna make us feel like it's 2009 again. It's 2024, and it's just a sweaty world now. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention another factor in all this, which is the content creator line of thinking that has overtaken the cyberspace. So many people want to try their hand at Twitch streaming and a YouTube channel because it seems like such a straightforward and attainable route towards success, when in reality it's mostly just, throwing shit at the wall and seeing next to no return for like 99% of people. But the content creation gold rush of the past decade has resulted in exponentially more people exploiting every little system in every game to absolutely dominate and get wild and entertaining footage, because it's about more than having fun with the game. It's about the online clout. So anyways, if you want to give me some of that online clout by hitting the subscribe button,